Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 4. I am Rachel David White, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari swears in Arashe as PSC chairman, 5 board members of CCB. Labour Party slashes governorship nomination fee from 25 million naira to 15 million naira plus. Ukraine says it shot down a Russian bomber aircraft near Bakhmut. We'll bring you details of the stories and more in a moment. We begin this afternoon with an update that President Muhammadu Buhari has sworn in former Inspector General of Police Solomon Arashe as the new chairman of the Police Service Commission, PSC. Arashe's swearing in preceded the meeting of the Federal Executive Council FEC and came 2 months after the Senate confirmed him as chairperson of the PSC. Buhari had forwarded Arashe's name to the senator for confirmation in line with sections 153 subsection 1 and 154 subsection 1 of the Constitution as amended. Arashe, who retired in 2016, is the 18th indigenous Inspector General of Police from April 2015 to June 2016. Meanwhile, the president also swore in 5 board members of the Code of Conduct Bureau, CCB, namely Mutala Kankia from Katsina State, Northwest, Zephaniah Bulus from Nasarawa State and North Central, Farouk Umar from Yobe, Northeast, among others. Reports say the council members observed a moment of silence in honor of retired Lieutenant General Oladipo Dia, who died on Sunday. Dia served as Chief of General Staff and Vice Chairman of the Provisional Ruling Council under the Abacha regime. To the Red Chambers now, where the Senate has approved the request of President Muhammadu Buhari to establish 10 new national parks across the country. The Senate's resolution followed the consideration and approval of the motion on the National Park Declaration Order 22, sponsored by the Senate leader Ibrahim Gober. Gober explained that Buhari had written to the Senate on November 16, 2022, requesting the concurrence of the Senate to the National Park Declaration Order 2022. In consonance with the Section 18 of the National Park Service Act 2004. He said the National Park Declaration Order seeks to establish 19 additional national parks based on due feasibility studies and environmental impact assessment in 12 selected forest and game reserves in various states of the Federation. He listed the parks to include the Alawa National Parks, Niger State, Apoy National Park, Bayelsa State, Edumanun National Park, Bayelsa State, Galgori National Park, Kano State, Hadejia Wetland National Park, Jigawa State, among others. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) says it has commenced the presentation of certificates of return to the governors-elect in the 26 states where winners have been declared following the conclusion of the March 18 elections. Also, certificates are to be presented to the lawmakers-elect in the relevant state legislatures across the 36 states of the Federation. In a statement last Saturday, INEC National Commissioner Festus Okoye had noted that Section 72, subsection 1 of the Electoral Act 2022 provides that the Commission is mandated to issue a certificate of return within 14 days to every candidate who has been returned elected under the law. Consequently, INEC fixed today till Friday for the issuance of certificates of return to winners of the March 18th elections, adding that the presentations would take place in INEC offices in each state. According to reports, the result of 26 of the 28 governorship elections have so far been announced, leaving the elections in Kebbi and Adamawa, which were declared inconclusive. Meanwhile, supplementary elections are to be held in both states on Saturday, April 15th. Meanwhile, ahead of the governorship primaries in Bayelsa, Imo and Kogi State, the Labour Party says the nomination fee for aspirant has been reduced from 25 million naira to 15 million naira. Spokesperson for the Obidati Presidential Campaign Council, PCC, Kenneth Okonkwo, in a series of tweets Monday, had cried out over the 25 million naira governorship nomination fee, describing it as exorbitant. However, today, Okonkwo took to Twitter to share the revised charge for the LP governorship nomination forms. According to him, the LP had taken note of the suggestions of Nigerians that a party of working-class Nigerians should settle for a nomination fee of no more than 15 million naira for the post of a governor. Away from that, the federal government has given the assurance that the transition of power from President Buhari to the President-elect Bola Tinubu would be smooth and peaceful. This was as the government said the refurbishment of offices for the President and Vice President-elect had been completed. Addressing journalists in Abuja, the chairman of the Commission and Transition Committee, Boss Mustafa, stressed that litigation would not stop the handover ceremony from taking place. Mustafa noted that the Security Subcommittee had been saddled with the responsibility to ensure no one truncates the handover.
As far as the Presidential Transition Council is concerned, that's the essence of our setting up the various committees. The Inauguration Committee, which has responsibility for the processes of the inauguration, the swearing in, the parades, the activities preceding the formal handover of power. The Security Facilities and Intelligence Committee has the responsibility to ensure that nothing happens to truncate the process. So I can give you every form of assurance that Nigerians are very law-abiding people. Whoever has lost an election, we have provided for avenues for those people to ventilate whatever legal inquiry they want to do. But the process will continue unabated, and I can assure you that we are putting everything in place to ensure.
Meanwhile, Supreme Court has dismissed a suit brought before it against Senator Elisha Abo, challenging his candidacy as the All Progressives Congress APC representative for Adamawa North Senatorial District in the last National Assembly election. Justice Inyang Okoro, in a unanimous judgment of a 5-member panel of justices, dismissed the suit for lacking in merit. One Abdullahi Suleiman had dragged the senator to court, challenging his emergence as the primary election conducted by the APC for Adamawa North Senatorial District. However, the Apex Court held that Suleiman was not competent to challenge the outcome of the election, having not participated in the said election. The appellant, therefore, through his counsel, withdrew the appeal, and the Apex Court subsequently dismissed the suit. From the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has approved the request by the federal government to borrow over $973 million from China Development Bank. This followed the decision by the China Exim Bank to reject Nigeria's $22 billion loan request, earlier approved by the National Assembly. The chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, Abubakar Fulata, moved the motion for the Legislative Chamber to amend its resolution granting approval for the failed loan deal. Moving the motion, Fulata said the House noted that the 2016 to 2018 federal government external borrowing rolling plan was approved by the Senate and the House of Representatives on March 5, 2020 and June 2020, respectively. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has passed for a second reading a bill seeking to prevent lopsidedness in the appointment of persons as chairman and secretary of the Federal Character Commission, FCC. Reports say when the bill proposal becomes law, it will make it possible for the chairman and secretary of the FCC to come from two regions, north and south, of the country. A lawmaker, Unyumeidem, who is representing Okanafun and Uruganam Federal Constituency in Akwa Ibom State while leading the debate on the bill, recalled that the legislation was read for the first time on July 15, 2021. He noted that the bill seeks to amend the provision of the Act to reinstate the position of the two critical positions to be appointed by the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria be expressly and mandatorily from each region of the country for the effective running and administration of the objectives of setting up of the Commission. And still from the Green Chambers, the House of Representatives has urged the relevant ministries, departments and agencies of the federal government to apply a doctrine of necessity in the reintegration of Nigerian students evacuated from Ukraine following the invasion of the Eastern European country by Russia. At the plenary, the House particularly urged the Federal Ministry of Education, National Universities Commission, Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board, and the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria to ensure a seamless continuation of the education in Nigeria. The House also recommended that for other levels, level 1 to 5, the Federal Ministry of Education, JAMB, and the NUC are to ensure that the students are accommodated in the appropriate levels. In a separate development, the Special Investigative Panel on Oil Theft and Losses in Nigeria has submitted its report to the National Security Advisor, Babagana Monguno, in Abuja. The Head Strategic Communication Office of the National Security Advisor, Zakari Osman, in a statement noted that prompt implementation of the report would not only create an immediate impact on crude oil production levels to meet the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries OPEC quota, but would also attract foreign direct investment and serve Nigeria's economic and national security concerns. While submitting the reports, the chairman of the panel, Barry Njomo, said the panel engaged key stakeholders from within and outside the oil and gas industry, including state governments, ministries, departments and agencies, security agencies, regulatory agencies, international and indigenous oil companies, traditional institutions, host communities, artisanal refineries, among others. On petroleum matters, the Petroleum and Natural Gas Senior Staff Association of Nigeria, PENGASAN, has called on the federal government to stop subsidizing premium motor spirit, popularly called petrol. It also called on the government to ensure the speedy rehabilitation of Nigeria's refineries, stressing that it would help ease the hardship that could arise from the hold of fuel subsidy. PENGASAN's president, Festus Osifo, disclosed this while speaking with journalists at the National Executive Council meeting of the association in Abuja. He explained that functional local refineries would not only increase the country's revenue base, but provide more job opportunities as well as end the uncertainties in the fuel subsidy administration and product importation. Away from that, the Nigerian Air Force, NAF, has dismissed an online notification of admission into National Diploma and Higher National Diploma and Nursing programs for the 2023 and 2024 academic session at NAF School of Medical Sciences and Aviation Medicine, Kaduna. The Director of Public Relations and Information, NAF, Ayodele Famuyiwa, in a statement described the online administration notification as spurious and fraudulent. Famuyiwa said the advert signed by an impostor, Anike Obinna, asking unsuspecting members of the public to pay a non-refundable fee of 15,000 naira for the purchase of admissions form was fake. According to him, the fraudster also provided 2 fake telephone numbers for inquiries in an effort to legitimize the illicit act. Moving now to Africa, where Zambia's government has warned the opposition against holding anti-gay right protests during U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris' visit in the country. Opposition Patriotic Front (PF) party's plans to hold protests ahead of Democracy Summit being hosted in capital Lusaka. Harris will arrive in the Southern Africa country on Friday and is scheduled to make an address at the summit, which is jointly being hosted by Zambia, the U.S., Costa Rica, the Netherlands, and South Korea. According to reports, some 50 opposition's MPs have claimed without evidence that the event is part of an agenda to impose gay rights on Zambians. Meanwhile, Amnesty International Zambia has called on the government to take a strong stand in support of LGBTQ rights to ensure that the summit is not disrupted by protests. Meanwhile, the United States has urged all political sides in Kenya to refrain from violence and security forces to act with restraints during protests. State Department Security Deputy Spokesman Vedant Patel said the U.S. regretted the loss of life and damage of property in the recent protests, adding that the right to peaceful assembly was a core aspect of democracy. On a foreign scene, Ukraine Defense Ministry says its anti-aircraft missile unit have shot down a Russian Su-24M bomber near the eastern city of Bakhmut today. The report comes as Ukraine's Deputy Defense Minister, Hanna Maliar, had the country will defend Bakhmut as long as the country needs it in terms of military defense tasks. Maliar said on Telegram that the battle for Bakhmut is not an apocalypse, but another heroic page in a war against the Russian Federation by the powerful Ukrainian army. In the meantime, power supply is reportedly disconnected in the occupied city of Melitopol in southern Ukraine after it was shelled by Ukrainian forces earlier today. A member of Council of the pro-Russian military civilian administration in the Zaporizhia region, Vladimir Rogov, said on Telegram that power supply was suspended in Melitopol and some nearby settlements as a result of shelling by Kyiv. Rogov added that the shelling came from HIMARS and there were no casualties recorded, but emergency services are carrying out restoration work for power supply. Still to come in the news, Fabio Paratici, FIFA places worldwide ban on Tottenham managing director. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. On our business news, the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has barred banks and other financial institutions seeking a conversion license from expanding or reducing their current banking network. The CBN discloses in a circular titled Regulatory Guidelines for Change of Operational License for Banks and Other Financial Institutions in Nigeria. The draft, signed by the Director of Financial Policy and Regulation Department, Chibuzo Ifobi, stated that under the guidelines, prohibitions and restrictions shall be applied to eligible banks and financial institutions applying for conversion or recategorization. Meanwhile, the CBN stated that due to increasing requests from financial institutions to either upgrade or convert to other license administration, the draft guidelines aims to provide clarity to eligible financial institutions on regulatory requirement. Still in Nigeria, the National Nigerian Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC) has 7 billion barrels to 50 billion barrels. NNPC also commenced the official drilling for crude in Ebeyi, a well in Obi local government area of Nasarawa State, and stated that the well would support in hitting the 50 billion barrels oil reserve targets. The Group Chief Executive Officer, Melekiari, said that mobilization for re-entry into the Chad Basin has commenced, as directed by President Buhari, adding that the oil company was making progress in other activities in the frontier basin. In health, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and Prevention (NCDC) says death toll from Lassa fever in Nigeria so far this year has risen to 142. The NCDC, in its 11th week Lassa fever situation report, said there had been a total of 784 confirmed cases recorded from 23 states and 97 local government areas since the beginning of the year. Meanwhile, a total of 3,826 suspected cases were recorded from January to March 19, 2023. With the current death toll, the public health institution noted that the case fatality ratio of the outbreak stood at 18.1%. It added that the predominant age group affected in the country is 21 to 30 years. Meanwhile, the male to female ratio for confirmed cases being 10:9. Still in health, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC) has warned Nigerians not to use unapproved cosmetics as a result of the dangers associated to it. The Director General NAFDAC, Mojishola Adeyeye, who was represented by Dr. Leonard Omoka Pariola, Director Drug Evaluation and Research, gave the warning during the media sensitization workshop on the dangers of bleaching creams and regulatory controls for South-South journalists in Port Harcourt. Adeyeye said the menace of unapproved cosmetics such as bleaching creams in Nigeria had become a national health emergency that required a multi-phase desirable effects, noting that some of the harmful effects of bleaching creams include cancer and damage of vital organs of the body like the kidney and liver. And sports now, where Tottenham manager-director Fabio Paratici may have to step away from his current role after FIFA extended an initial ban in Italy worldwide. Paratici was given a 30-month ban in January after his former club, Juventus, were found guilty of false accounting. The 50-year-old served as sporting director and managing director at Juventus before joining Tottenham in June 2021. Meanwhile, Paratici and Juventus have both appealed the decision. Paratici's initial ban only applied to Italian football, meaning he was able to continue working at Tottenham. However, the extended ban comes as Tottenham search for a new manager following the departure of Antonio Conte. Still in sports, Argentina captain Lionel Messi has passed 100 international goals as he scored his 7th international hat-trick in a friendly win at home to Curacao. The 35-year-old forward reached the landmark when he opened the scoring on 20 minutes in Santiago del Estero. He added 2 more before the break to complete a quick-fire treble. Chelsea midfielder Enzo Fernandez also scored before Argentina paraded the World Cup trophy in front of more than 42,000 supporters. It was Argentina's second match on home soil since 1999 for Argentina in a 2-0 win over Panama in Buenos Aires last week. As part of the team's World Cup homecoming tour, Paris Saint-Germain striker reached three figures for his country. He remains third on the men's all-time international scoring list behind Portugal's Cristiano Ronaldo, 122, and Iran's Ali Daei, 109. On our entertainment news, Nigerian Idol is set to return for its 8th season in April 2023. Multi-Choice Nigeria announced the show and judges return at a media launch in the company's multi-purpose Lagos studio. According to them, popular TV personality Ike Osakioduwa will be returning as the show's host for a third time alongside Obi Asika, who will also be judging his third season. Superstar singer-songwriter, Simi and multi-award-winning entertainer D'banj are also back for a second time, ensuring the band stays together. Still on entertainment, popular Nigerian comedian Bright Okocha, popularly known as Basket Mouth, has announced that he would be quitting professional comedy in 5 years' time. The stand-up comedian revealed this in an interview with Newsman at Hits 103.9 FM shared on their Instagram account. The father of three said that he wants to be remembered for something other than comedy, adding that he is now into movies, series, and concert production. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 4. I am Rachel David White. Good evening.